it will turn up in your cloud files instead of your normal computer files.
Okay.
And then you'll find it, there's actually like a Zoom folder in your documents. Like
Okay.
it'll have like, you'll open documents and you'll see Zoom is already a folder, and it'll be in there, and you'll be an MP3 file. And then I just convert that to, I take that to YouTube and I make it a YouTube video. And that's how
Okay.
you send it out to somebody else. You have it then.
Perfect. Okay, well, Holly and I are learning something today. I know how to share screen and stuff. Hopefully all that works, but we're just making sure on this recording because we've had several that can't get here. And Mrs. Hurl, if you have kids that didn't get to watch it, you'll have the opportunity to share it once I figure out how to put it on YouTube. So
Awesome.
I am Stacy Minson. I work for Kansas State University and I'm a watershed specialist. So my job is to protect the water as it leaves our streets, yards, croplands, livestock pens, travels downstream and ends up in a reservoir, which my reservoir is Canopolis Reservoir, which is kind of by Salina, if you guys don't know where Canopolis is. And it's a public drinking water supply. So the water that comes out of people's taps, out of livestock hydrants on farms, that's some of the water that comes back out of that reservoir. So everything we do affects what that water looks like and tastes like. So my counterpart today is Holly Dickman, and I'm going to let her go first because she has her presentation up and we know that her screen is there. So let's go that way first, Holly.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for letting us come and speak with you in this way. And like Stacy said, my name's Holly Dickman. I'm the water conservation specialist for the city of Hays. And so what we're going to talk about first is water conservation. And the theme on the first slide there, if you can see it, is Let's Talk Water. And that's the theme of the contest this year for our water poster contest. So if you've done this in the past, you know that you have to have Let's Talk Water somewhere on that poster. And we'll talk about more details about that in a minute. But let's see if we can make this work now. Okay, so water conservation is a big deal in Hays. Does anyone know why that is?
So no one doesn't run out of water?
Well, we certainly don't want to run out of water. That's a big part of it.
Because you can conserve it, and that means you're kind of keeping some in certain places.
That's right. It's a big deal in Hays, and a lot of us have probably heard about water conservation being talked about in Hays. Or if you haven't, you will today. But who can tell me what is water conservation? Anybody know? And I can't see all of you at the same time, so this is kind of, someone's just going to have to shout it out, or maybe you could put it in the chat too. Maybe that would be easier.
Somebody put saving up water in the chat.
Yep. Okay, that is correct. So water conservation is just the protection and smart use of water, and the people that care about water try to use it in the most efficient way possible, or the best way they can. In other words, they're just trying not to waste it. We talk about not wasting water, and we'll give some ideas on how to save water in a little bit. But why should we care about this? Why is water so important? Who wants to type that into the chat? I'm giving you all the answers here, at least 3 of them. So if you're paying attention, you'll see some of the answers. What can we do without water? Can we do anything without water?
Pretty much nothing. You can't really do anything without water.
That's right. It's our most valuable resource, and without it, we can't live. We can't have the foods we eat. We can't have the cars we drive. There's all sorts of things that rely on having a good source of water, so we cannot live without it. This area that we live in has water sources that are very susceptible to drought, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But that means that if it does not rain, then our water supplies will go down, and that's a big concern for us here. And so that's another reason why water conservation is always being talked about. And if you buy water, if you pay water bills, maybe you live in town and you pay a water bill, your parents do, or your family does, Or maybe you have rural water, you live in the country and you pay for water, then if you're saving water, you're also saving money. So let's talk quickly about how much of the Earth's surface is covered by water. You guys type into the chat what you think your guess is there. Maybe you've learned about this before. Very good. I'm seeing lots of correct answers there. 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. So you would think we'd have lots of water to choose from, but how much of the Earth's water is actually drinkable? Again, type in your answers for that. What do you think?
It's a good question.
So I'm seeing lots of 30s, 16, 21, 33. Actually, the answer is, I'll give you 2 more seconds to guess. I haven't seen, oh, somebody in Jana's group said 1. That is correct. 1% of the Earth's water is actually drinkable. And so if we were in person, I'd be doing this little demonstration with a gallon jug, but I wanted to show you this picture just for today on Zoom. So if we have all the water in the world added up, it would be this big circle or this big ball of water here. And what do you think the majority of that water might be from? Somebody shout it out.
Like, do you think it's glacier
Water.
or
The oceans? I'm seeing different answers in the chat. That's correct. So the majority of this water is actually salt water. And we cannot drink salt water without some major treatment of that water. So this other little circle represents the fresh water on Earth. Most of that water is actually tied up though in glaciers or underground, where in places where we can't necessarily get to it. And so this little teeny tiny dot, if you guys can see it, is actually what represents that 1% that is available for us to use. So if you think about the whole world and how much there is in this earth, as far as people and animals and all that, that little tiny drop of water, that's not a whole lot, is it? So that is another reason why we really need to take care of what we have and make most efficient use of it. Okay, so let's talk about drought a little bit. What is drought? Drought is essentially a shortage of rainfall over a period of time. So different areas of the state have different amounts of rainfall that falls on average, or precipitation that falls on average. If we don't have that average, then we go into what's called drought. And this is something that can affect animals, plants, and people. That can be a serious problem for farmers and the crops they produce. And I mentioned earlier that it can be a serious problem for the city of Hays because our water resources rely on precipitation. And if it doesn't rain, then our water sources will go down. So where does our water here come from? Can you guys tell me that? I always ask that question, and that's a hard one. So
Lakes.
Okay, one guess is lakes. Where do you think
Maybe?
the water that runs out of your faucet comes from? Someone said the Smoky Hill River. That's an excellent answer. Underground, another excellent answer. Very good. So in our area here, and I'm showing this kind of blurry map to show you where Ellis County is. It's in that red circle. That's where I'm assuming most of you live. If not, you live close by, I would guess. But we are just far enough east in the state that we do not have access to this blue area of the map, which represents the High Plains Aquifer, which is a very big source of underground water. And so here where we live, we have groundwater, which is correct. We pump water from underground for our drinking purposes, but that water comes from underground wells that are around Big Creek that runs through Hays. And then we also have wells that are down by Shenshin, which is about 12 miles south of Hays. It's a little town down there. And there's several city wells down there where we get our water, and it's pumped back into Hays. So if anyone asks you where our water comes from, now you'll be able to tell them it comes from underground, but not from the Ogallala Aquifer, if any of you have heard of that before, or any of those places that they can get water from in western Kansas. Okay, here's a picture of a drought monitor, and this is something that if you're very interested, you can Google US Drought Monitor, and you can see the latest information about what kind of drought conditions we are currently under. Right now, we are in moderate drought. And so I always like to show that picture because it's been snowing, right? We've had some moisture, but that doesn't mean that our drought conditions have improved all that much. We are still in drought here. This is a picture from several years ago, and some of you may just have been babies or not even born yet at that time, but we were in exceptional drought back in 2012, and it was one of the worst droughts we've experienced for a long time. And I show that because that January before then, we looked kind of like we look now, right? The map, we were in moderate drought, but it wasn't extreme until we got into the summertime. So hopefully it'll rain. Hopefully we won't look like that again this summer, but you just never know, and things can change very quickly. We could start having some rainfall and the whole map might be wet or white again, excuse me. Okay, so let's talk about water usage in the city of Hays, and we'll talk about some ideas for your posters. The city of Hays, the people on average use 90 gallons of water per person per day. Wow. And this is the lowest in the state of Kansas, if you can believe that. And so this little pile of gallon jugs, this represents how much an average person in Hays might use per day. Do you think you guys use that much water per day?
Not really. It surprises me how much an average person would use.
Yeah, and this includes all uses of water. So if we think about what's in Hays, the hospital, the university, the schools, it includes all of that water use, and it just averages it out over everybody in town. This little graph I'm showing you just shows the difference in water use per day in the winter time versus the summertime months. And I just show that because it's a lot higher in the summertime months. And I want you to type into the chat why you think that would be. Why is the water use so much higher in the summertime? I'm getting it gets so hot, heat. What uses a lot more moisture in the summertime? Because someone said, and I'm gonna, sorry, I have a frog in my throat. Someone says because of pools, people exercise more because it's hot. So those are all great guesses. Someone said plants, and that is really the reason. Think about what's growing in the summertime. We have lawns and landscapes, and a lot of times people will plant things or, irrigate or water those things in the summertime because it's so hot and growing quickly. And so that is why the water usage is so much higher in the summertime, is because people have irrigation systems turned on and things like that. This is just a chart of one business here in town that shows their wintertime water usage versus their summertime usage. And so you can see that wintertime it's pretty low, and then summertime it goes way up high and has these big spikes. And what do you think happened? Why did it get so high in the summertime? What did they do?
Because they were hot, and maybe they were using it so they would cool. And did you know some ACs actually use water to heat them and everything? So that might have not helped either.
Yeah, it is possible that they might have used a little more water during the summer months, but this is thousands and thousands of gallons more than what they used in the winter time. And they don't have extra customers coming in at that time. This is just showing that they turned on their irrigation system. So they have an automatic irrigation system, and that's where the spike in that water use came from. So We have a lot of irrigation or watering that goes on in the summertime, and someone had commented, well, how much water do we waste? Well, in the summertime with irrigation, a lot of times we are somewhat wasteful.
A lot.
There's a lot of overwatering that happens. And so our plants certainly do need water. We do need to irrigate sometimes, but some of that water is wasted. And so this is just showing that up to 50% of the water we put on outside can be wasted from inefficient watering methods or inefficient watering systems. Sometimes those irrigation systems aren't working like they're supposed to. So
And they like
that
drip
wastes
a
a
whole
lot of
bunch
water.
of mix.
Okay, so let's talk about some ways to save water. And these are all ideas that you can put on your posters as well. What about brushing our teeth? We should always shut the water off while we're brushing our teeth. Or maybe somebody's dad is shaving, he needs to shut the water off while he's doing that too. So we don't just let it run constantly. Only flush when necessary. You know, we haven't gotten to that situation where we're telling people that seriously, but if we get into extreme drought, sometimes it is best to only flush as necessary. We don't need to flush every single time. Someone is saying to take 10-minute showers, and that comes into the next slide. And actually the recommendation is a 5-minute shower. So I want you all to take that challenge tonight, time yourself and see if you can take a 5-minute shower. Or if you have two favorite music, you know, songs on the radio or something like that, usually 2 songs would be the length of time you'd need to take a shower.
That might be quite hard because that's kind of hard for me to get done that quickly.
It is hard. It's hard for me too, especially if you have long hair and you have to wash it and rinse all the shampoo out. That's kind of hard, but try to do the best you can. And if you really want to time yourself, I have shower timers that I could get to you guys, and you could test yourself and make sure you're getting it under 5 minutes. Okay, how about chilling water in the refrigerator for drinking versus just letting that water run out of the faucet to get cold? This way you're not wasting some water while doing that. You can just pour it directly into a glass and it's already cold. If you have leftover water, sometimes I have 2 little girls that don't always drink all their water, and I will take that water and I'll save it for something else. So you can use it for house plants. You could put it into a jug and save it for, you know, that's usually what I use it for, but sometimes people will give it to the dog, put it in the dog's dish or something like that. So just try to use that water for something else. If you have a dishwasher at home, make sure that the dishwasher is full before you run the dishwasher. And actually washing dishes in a dishwasher is more efficient than washing a whole sink of dishes by hand. But you do want to make sure that it's full before you run it. If you see a dripping faucet or you hear a toilet that just won't stop running, make sure you tell somebody about it. Tell an adult, tell a custodian at the school or something like that. Sometimes they will appreciate that because they can't always know what's going on. If you're outside helping to wash the car, something like that, hopefully you have a nozzle on the end of your garden hose that will allow you to have the water shut off. This hose end nozzle will stop the water from running, and so it won't run down the street constantly. And if it's rained outside, and we've had good rain, don't water. You don't have to water if it's rained. So I know it seems like that would be common sense, but I have to tell people that all the time. Sometimes we forget that we have irrigation systems running, and it's just rain, so we don't need to do that. And when we are watering our plants outside, it's important to water them correctly. And if you water your plants, whether it's trees, shrubs, flowers, vegetable gardens, turf grass, any of those things, you want to make sure to water them deeply so that the roots go down deep, like the picture on the right-hand side. If you're just watering that top inch of soil and you're just doing a little shallow watering every day or every other day, then what happens is those roots want to stay right there in the top layer of the soil where it's moist. And then as soon as it gets really hot and dry, those roots dry out quickly, and the grass or the flowers or whatever you're growing will dry up very quickly. So if they have a deep root system, they can withstand those hot, dry temperatures. And speaking of roots, who can tell me what's going on here? What happened?
Wildfire happened, maybe?
Wildfire, well, that certainly could cause some of this to occur, I bet.
Like dry out.
But what happened? What caused these areas in the soil to kind of
Not
wash
enough
out?
water. Not enough water.
I think it probably got washed away by water, which is called erosion. Somebody had that answer. And so roots are a good thing. I always encourage people to have roots in the landscape because that helps to hold the soil in place and you prevent having big issues with erosion like this. And also in the landscape, we can do alternative things than having turf grass that we like to water all the time, or maybe we have flower beds where we have mulches. You know, I always recommend that you use things like wood chips or the mulches that break down over time, as that's more efficient for your water use and also makes your plants happy. So, do you guys have any questions for me? That's all I have for my portion of this. I see some of you want shower timers. I will get you some of those. We can make sure you get those.
If you bring those to Lincoln School, I'll send them out to them.
Okay. How many do you need, do you think?
I have 15 kids.
Okay.
Holly, I put in the chat that if the homeschool families wanted them, they could probably pick them up when they pick up their poster supplies.
Yes. Yeah, just let me know how many you want. I know some of you who have gone through our water festivals and World Water Day Fun Fest and things might have some already, but if you need some, just let me know how many and I'll get them available for you.
We did this in 3rd grade, and they gave us a water timer.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions about water conservation in the future, or if your parents do, or your family members, grandmas, grandpas, please give me a call and let me know, and I can try and help you out. So, okay, I'll turn it over to Stacy.
Okay, I think Michael said he had a question.
Okay.
Michael?
My question is, why is there more salt water than fresh water?
It's just because it's oceans oceans and
Sarah, we'll let her answer, okay?
That's a good question, but Sarah's correct. There's just salt water in the oceans and the seas, and that's what's covering the majority of our Earth's surface is that sort of water. So
My brother has a question.
If, like, you know how wildfires happen, and if you make more fire, it'll soon all burn out.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you very well. Oh.
Okay, Holly, you unshared your screen?
Yep, I stopped sharing.
I think what I thought is that the salt water the sand in there made the salt water.
That could be. You're probably more of an expert on that than I am.
Yeah, that's my hypothesis.
That'd be a good thing to research.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold on.
I saw you for a second, Stacy.
I know.
You said that green button, share screen?
Yeah, I shut the PowerPoint down. By
Gotcha.
mistake.
Oh, do you have a question, Mia?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do we get clean water to drink?
How do we get clean water? Well, with our water here in Hayes, we pump it to a water treatment plant.
No.
And our water is actually pretty clean to begin with, but they do have to do some treatment to it to help make sure that it's safe for us to drink. So they will add a few things to it to kill off germs, add some things to it to help make it softer water, so it's not such a hard water. That's hard to explain right now, but so it makes it so it's not leaving those white spots all over your faucets and things like that. So there are some things done to our water here to make it safe for us to drink before it comes to our faucets. So it goes through a water treatment plant.
I have a question. How much water do we waste each year?
How much water do we waste? I have no idea. All I know is how much water gets distributed and how much water gets pumped. And so, you know, as far as how much actually gets wasted, I don't know.
Okay, so can you see the screen? Does it look normal?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay, so like I mentioned and like Holly mentioned, the theme for the poster contest is Let's Talk Water. So you have to have that theme on your poster. It can be vertical, it can be horizontal. The poster has to be horizontal, but the theme can be on there anyway, any way you figure it out. The posters can be done in crayons, markers, they can be three-dimensional. So we've had people cut water bottles before and put them on there. We've had confetti and cotton balls and glitter, and the posters can also be computer generated. So I just wanted to share that with you. And this is a partnership between the City of Hayes and K-State Watersheds looking at water conservation and water quality. Your posters can be one of those themes. They can be multiple themes with that, so that we know that you.
Casey, you have somebody messing with your screen, I think.
Okay.
Now it's gone.
That it's gone, so let's hope it stays.
You have a hacker.
So basically, if you guys win, then you earn some prize money, and then we'll also display the posters at the Art Walk. If it happens the first weekend in May downtown, they'll be at Tri-Central Water Supply, or Tri-Central Office Supply, and we'll display them regardless of whether it's the Art Walk happens or not. And then also, if we go back to somewhat normal, we'll have them at the Ellis County Fair. The winners will be displayed out there as well.
Michael, stop. Don't do that. Don't.
So basically, we talked with Holly on the conservation side, and now we're going to talk about water quality. So when you guys drink a bottle of water or a glass of water, you want it to look like this, right? You want it to look clean and clear. Does water have a smell?
Not really.
Nope. Okay,
No.
That's how we want it. So in order for us to have this clean water, the cities, the communities have to treat that water. And in Hayes, if you're familiar with Hayes, on Vine Street, when you go south of Burger King, right before you get to the railroad tracks, there's a great big brick building right alongside Vine Street. And that is the City of Hayes drinking water treatment plant. So when the water comes into town, they treat it before it comes out of your faucets, hydrants for you to take a shower, water your lawn with. The reason why it's important is each state, including the state of Kansas, does a water quality assessment. So all the streams in the state of Kansas, 86% of them can't be used for what they're supposed to be used for. So it means they have an impairment. So they're sick in a sense. 86%. So that means only 14% of the streams can be used for recreation, irrigation, navigation for people to put canoes on or something like that, swimming, fishing. And then in lakes, it's 96%. So that means only 4% of the lakes in the whole state of Kansas can be used for what they're designated for. And then for my job, I do this type of thing, working with you guys and educating the public on what we want to do to help protect our water. But I also work with livestock producers and crop producers and farmers so that they put practices on the ground. They move livestock away from the creeks and streams to protect the land. And so when it says 45% of the land surface in Kansas is served by RAPS, that means somebody like myself does education and works with farmers and ranchers and cities so that we can do that. But there's still a lot of parts of the state that don't have someone like me. So water quality, when we talk about pollution, we talk about, there's two types. There's point source, and point source is anything that we can go back and go exactly to a certain place and find out. So one example would be Intersys out by the interstate. They have a permit to do business. And so if they had a big spill or something was leaking out of their facility, we could go right back to that location and prove that it came from there. The other thing is like the K-State Experiment Station right south of town, south of Big Creek and Frontier Park, they have a livestock lagoon. So when they're feeding cattle, all of the animals' waste goes into that lagoon. If for some reason the bridge right south of town, as you're going south to La Crosse, if that bridge had lots of contaminants or we found a bunch of dead fish there, we would be able to know that something probably happened with the livestock facility there at the experiment station, because they also have to have a permit to do business. Everything else that we do, what you guys do today at home, what somebody does at school, at work, is what we call non-point source. So if you look at this little map, everything can run off of our properties, whether it's our lawns, or sidewalks, parking lots, and it ends up in the city of Hayes and Big Creek. So everything that runs off of people's property, parking lots, gets in Big Creek, and that's called non-point source because we can't go back to a certain place and determine that that's where it came from. So all of us at one point or another contribute to non-point source pollution, whether we realize it or not, and there's some pretty easy things we can do to prevent that. So I work in a RAPS project, and basically I have a great big plan that tells me what I have to do so that I can help improve water quality. And when I say great big, it's 135 pages. So it's big, but my area covers 2,400 square miles. I think I have a map that shows that. So Canopolis Reservoir is the oldest reservoir in the state of Kansas, and it is a federal water supply. So it means whatever goes into that lake, it goes to the treatment plant at Post Rock Rural Water District. They treat it so it comes back out of pipes. Just like when you guys turn on your faucet today to get a glass of water in Hayes, same thing. Yours is coming from the drinking water treatment plant in Hayes, and they've treated it so that it's safe for you guys to drink. Canopolis is definitely used for recreation, fishing, boating, skiing, but it has a big issue with sediment and then nutrients. So that's what's affecting our water quality in that reservoir. So this is how big my watershed is. All the way up here is Gove County, out by Quinter. And then Waukenee's here. Then we have Ellis. Then we have Hayes, Russell, all the way to Ellsworth. And the reservoir is right here. So all of this area that's highlighted is how many miles. So basically, it's going to take a long time before water, that rainfall hits, moves something all the way down the Smoky Hill River or Big Creek to Ellsworth into that reservoir. But it's pretty easy to see how when we do something in Ellis, it could get to Hayes pretty quick because they're not very far. And Big Creek runs right through the city of Ellis, just like it runs through the city of Hayes. So this is my area, and it kind of lets you see in comparison to where we are in the whole state.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt a second. Who's doing that? Who's
It
writing?
says Brock was here.
I know.
I wasn't doing anything. My hands were all like this, and I had
can
them
read
down
it.
doing nothing. I don't even know how to do it.
Stop. I can read, Sarah. Guys, we're not, I'm going to remove you if I see anyone's name on there now. So if you really want Brock removed, keep doing that. You don't do that, boys and girls. That's embarrassing. You're not three.
I think it says this is stupid or his stupid.
No, I can read, Meryl, okay?
I know,
Meryl. Okay. Thank you. We're not doing that, boys and girls. So I don't know who's actually writing on there. I have an idea who it is, but please stop. Thank you. I'm sorry, Stacy.
You're fine. So basically what happens is we have total maximum daily loads, and it's just a measurement of how much of a pollutant can go into our creeks and streams. So I have a couple options. We have it, can you see this jar? It's got little pebbles in it. Any idea what this is?
What goes into the streams?
Yep, it's something that goes in the streams, and it's not something we want in our water supply. Mom and Dad usually put it on the yard.
Somebody commented sediment.
Okay, it's not sediment, but I do have that. I have a jar with that in it. Can you see that? So
Yes.
how would sediment get in our creek or stream, and where would it come from?
That's
From what?
from people's backyards and everything.
Yep. And if somebody's building a new house, or if somebody's building a business, it can come from there. So from construction sites. The other place sediment can come from is out in the country. If we're farming and we use equipment and we till up the soil and we get a rainfall event like Holly had in that picture with erosion, that's the same thing on the agriculture side. We get lots of sediment moving into the creek or stream. So sediment is one of our major pollutants that we don't want in our water supply, because it's going to make the water look a whole lot different than this, right?
Yep.
So any idea what this one is? You guys might take these in the morning or before you go to bed to help you.
Pills.
Okay, but what are they? What are they called?
Vitamins.
Vitamins. Okay, so this is the same type of thing. This is a vitamin that we put on our lawns, our gardens, our flowers, and it's called fertilizer. You guys know what fertilizer is? Okay.
Yeah.
So with fertilizer, a lot of times, many of our yards and gardens don't need any fertilizer at all. But we see that Mrs. Hurl, she's putting fertilizer on her yard. And so we like, oh no, we may have to have our yard look like that too. So we go buy fertilizer, we put it on, and then what happens? It rains, and then
They all wash away into a creek somewhere.
it all washes away into a storm drain. Have you guys seen these alongside the streets? Do you have them
Yep.
by your house?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the city of Hayes, these storm drains, everything that travels down them goes to Big Creek at the end of town down at Frontier Park. Or if you're all the way on the west side or east side of town, it goes into Chatola Creek. But Chatola Creek drains into Big Creek too. So all of that goes there. And so what can we do if we don't want to have a lot of fertilizer be on the ground?
Don't make it, people stop selling it maybe.
Maybe. That sounds like a really good idea, but I'm not sure that Holly nor I have any kind of power to make that happen.
I meant you might have to join with someone to help you do that.
Maybe. And in some places we do need fertilizer to make things grow. The biggest thing is running a soil test. You can go to the extension office and they can help your family do a soil test to determine exactly how much fertilizer you need. And then also, if we know it's going to rain, making sure we're watching the weather so that we don't have a major rainstorm that washes it all away. There are two big things. The other thing, on the back of the fertilizer bag, there's a label. And we just want to make sure that we follow that label instructions that tells us how much to put on. So fertilizers are the same things that we take as vitamins to help us grow. We put them on plants, but when you take your vitamins, you take one or two. And that's the same thing, making sure we don't overuse fertilizer if it's needed. Sediment, okay, we talked about that a little bit. Another option is making sure that we have some type of cover on the ground. So whether we have plant material, whether we have mulch, as Holly mentioned, if we have mulch, then we don't have to worry about the soil running off. And making sure on the ag side, if you are involved in agriculture or want to do your poster tied to agriculture, there's different types of farming practices. There's conventional tillage, where we go in and we work the soil just like we would in a garden setting. When mom and dad bring the rototiller in and they work the ground, that's what we call conventional till. And that's one of the things, if we have a lot of producers doing that, or especially on the ag land, we can see a lot of soil move into the creeks and rivers. So we want to make sure we can get as many producers to convert to what we call minimum tillage or no-till. So minimum tillage means we have some amount of cover. So we have some crop residue. So after we cut wheat or after we cut corn, we leave, thanks, I have a package. We leave some type of cover there. It might not be a lot, but so that when the rain hits, the raindrops hit that residue, that crop residue, instead of it running off. The best option is having no-till. So what that means is mom and dad tear up the garden and they leave that residue there. It's the easiest way. We don't technically do that a lot of times in gardens, but for you to understand that, having that residue there so that there's leaves and there's grass clippings, there's those type of things. On the farm, when the producers cut the crops, everything that falls after they take the seed, they just leave. And they go in and they plant the next crop right into that. So you don't have open soil. Then we'll talk about a couple others. So we talked about the nitrogen and phosphorus in the fertilizer that we talked about. And then we have the soil, which we talked about the sediment, making sure we have some type of construction, or making sure we have some type of cover. And the last one is E. coli bacteria. Does anybody have any idea where E. coli comes from? E. coli bacteria?
Your bottom.
Yep. So I have a little bitty toilet right here, okay? So that's human waste. What would be another example of human waste that would produce that might be found in a parking lot? Any idea?
Gasoline?
Nope. Somebody has changed this, and instead of going to the trash can, they throw it underneath their vehicle and then they drive away.
Trash.
What kind of trash? How about a dirty diaper? That's the same thing as here, but they don't use the toilet, right? So what's the best way to prevent that from getting in our water supply?
Throwing it in the trash can.
Exactly. It's pretty easy to prevent that. In the city of Hayes, they just did a brand new wastewater treatment facility out on East 8th Street. Have you guys been out there and seen that? Well, sometime ask mom and dad to drive out there. It's all fenced in. You can't really see a whole lot, but when you guys flush the toilets, when you turn the faucets, anything that goes down the sinks, the drains, take showers, that goes to the wastewater treatment plant in the city of Hayes, and then they treat that water so that it can be released back into Big Creek. Because what happens, if you guys don't know it, the water that we use in the city of Hayes goes to the wastewater treatment plant, it gets treated, it comes out so it meets state and federal standards, it travels downstream to the city of Russell, and the city of Russell pulls part of that water back into their treatment plant along with groundwater, like Holly talked about in Hayes, and that gets retreated so it can come back out of faucets, and that's what they drink. So ultimately, what you guys flush in the city of Hayes today, somebody in Russell might be drinking that in a couple weeks. So if water's not the oldest thing that's been recycled, it's got to be pretty close. But the key thing to remember is when water comes into your faucets in a town, and when it leaves your house, it gets treated before it comes in, and it gets treated before it leaves the city and travels to the next community. And that's what makes it so that we have the clean water supply to drink. So what's another source of E. coli bacteria in town? That could be a big, big factor. Any idea?
Animal poop.
Animals. Okay, so I have a dog. I have a toy dog. So what's the easiest thing to do to prevent that from getting to our water supply?
I have a dog, and like we have a dog scooper, so anytime she poops, we use the dog scooper to scoop it up, and then we put it in the dumpster.
Yep. So easiest thing is pick up dog poop. It's not the funnest job, and it's not something everybody wants to do, but I would much rather have it picked up so that I know I have clean water versus having dirty water. So picking up pet waste is pretty easy. That's something you guys can do. Making sure mom and dad know if they need to put fertilizer on the ground. Those are, you know, easy things. So the things we'll see problems with in the city of Hayes are the nutrients, our fertilizers, okay? The sediment that we talked about, soil leaving properties, then herbicides, lawn and home chemicals. Again, those things, just check and see if you even need to have any of that applied to your lawn. And then organic material, which causes us bacteria issues, is pet waste. The other thing in this springs, falls, you know, you have to rake leaves, you have to get yard waste picked up in the spring to get ready for the summer. Same thing in the fall, picking up all of that. And it's not one of those things that we want you to rake it out into the street, because if you do that, it's going to get in those storm drains like we talked about. So, and then again, that travels down into Big Creek. Another one, look in parking lots after a rain. This is antifreeze that comes out of a vehicle. A lot of times vehicles are leaking oil, antifreeze, transmission fluid, that type of thing. So those are easy fixes so they don't go into our water supplies. Just get your vehicles fixed. And then one other thing is household chemicals, paints, cleaners. If mom and dad decide they want to clean underneath the cupboards or out in the shop and get rid of a bunch of unused chemicals, in Hayes, those can go to the Ellis County landfill, to the household hazardous waste collection site. So if you can see this picture right here, you see this red mark going down the curb. My house was painted several years ago, and the people cleaned the paint brushes out. And so all of this paint residue went downstream, went down my curb. So ideally, the best thing to do would have just been clean it in my yard, because yes, I had a red spot in my yard, but at least it would have, as I mowed it, it would have taken that away. So basically, guys, your posters can talk about water conservation, conserving water. It can talk about picking up pet waste. It can talk about fertilizing the yard right, making sure you have type of cover, vegetation, whether it's mulch, whether it's native grasses, whether it's flowers, those type of things. And we'll get you the supplies. So what kind of questions do you have?
Watershed. Yeah. Who's won this poster contest, you know? What are we doing here? What are you calling it? You're being nice now.
I have a question.
Okay.
When our waste goes into lakes and all that, are we so what I mean is that when waste from factories and things like that, what happens to them?
For factories, they have to have, if they're producing waste, they have to have a place to collect that or go with that. If it goes into down the drains, down their in their water supply system, going down the pipes, the city has to be aware of it, and they can't be putting harmful chemicals, that type of thing, into that, because the cities are just not made to treat all of those things. So whatever the factories are producing has to be safe to go down the drains in the facilities.
Some of those big factories have their own wastewater treatment that takes place in the actual factory before they ever send that stuff down stream to another wastewater treatment plant. So they do some of their own wastewater treatment in their facility first. Someone asked if they could do a comic strip about saving water for their poster. Most definitely. Be as creative as you want to be.
Okay, and here's my website. There's all kinds of different things. It's mykansaswatershed.com. It gives you lots of ideas. There's some videos out here. If you go over here to special events, then it has the rules for the poster contest. So it's mykansaswatershed.com is what the website is. And then I'll pull Holly's up.
Were you showing the website, Stacy? Because I can't see that.
It's frozen.
Yeah, I'll find it and then I'll show it. Could you see mine?
We could only see raising your water IQ.
Okay.
Yeah,
We just
that's
saw
all
the
we-
end of your PowerPoint.
Okay.
It was called what again? mykansaswatershed.com.
Yep, here's the website, mykansaswatershed.com. Now can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, and then there's some videos here that might give you some ideas. And then over here on special events, does it allow you to see that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
It shows you some previous poster winners. You can click on this 2021 poster contest rules. And then I'll get Holly's. I got to stop share and share a new screen, I think.
Oh, we can see it. I can
Oh,
see
can
it.
you? Okay. So then here's Holly's, and she's got the poster contest information here. She's got ways to save water. There's all kinds of different things locally that can help you as well.
Yeah, and that one, if you just type in watersmarthaze.com, it will take you to that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I will, boys and girls, we'll look at those sites next week, and we'll look at the books that Holly or that Stacy sent me, and I'll put those on your Seesaw for you, and we'll kind of read through those, and that'll help you get some ideas if you're wanting to actually, make the poster and stuff. But that's pretty cool when you win and to make.
It's true.
Yeah.
And
I had
grown-ups can do it
I had already
too.
started to look it up.
You what now, Jasir? I'm sorry.
I had already started searching up the website.
Yeah, I found it too. So, and I bookmarked it.
Mrs. Hill.
Uh-huh.
So like about that comic strip thing, can we like make the strip and like in the corner we let's talk water and you draw a picture and then you like write that you can like save or something under it or something.
Girls, what do you think, women?
Yeah, you can do anything you want. Your poster just has to be horizontal. So,
Going
So
across.
landscape
Yep.
format.
Mhm.
Landscape.
And then I did hear you say, and Sarah, I know you might be interested in this because Sarah likes to do a lot on the computer, create graphic things.
mhm.
Thing about you can actually make it computer generated, so
Yep.
then you print it and glue it on there then, right?
Yeah, and you can actually just, as long as you do the 11 by 18, and you can actually just save it as a PDF and send it to us, and Holly can print it as well.
So, like I know you like, Sarah, to do things on your different programs, so you can also do it on the computer. So it doesn't have to be just physically drawing,
I like physically drawing too. I think I'm
Yeah.
even more skilled in physically drawing because all my years before this, I've always done physical drawings instead
Yeah.
of doing computer.
Yeah. So, but anyway, glitter, you can glue things on. It can be 3-dimensional. Like I said, one of my little girls won last year with just photographs, and she just described what they were, and that was really cool. It was simple, but it was really effective.
So what size of paper would we need to use if we didn't have to go to there?
even though we should.
It's 11 by 18. So it's ledger size. So it's basically 2 pieces of paper put together.
It's kind of like when you're in school in art class and your teacher gets out that construction paper, you know, that's what that is. So I'll have that at Lincoln School. I'll have a good number of sheets. You can take a couple if you want to. That way, you know, if you mess up, you don't have to go back or whatever. And you to have that title somewhere on there, Let's Talk Water. And then on the back, it actually will tell you what to write, like your name and all that. And I will tell you too. Monday we'll really talk about and we'll go over the rules and stuff. So, okay.
Mrs. Hurl,
Yeah.
so are you gonna mail the construction paper to me, or do I have to go to the store because the roads are very icy?
Right. Well, I mean, I can mail it to you. I will tell you, and this is, they probably don't care to carry this, but the one thing I mailed you, Protractor came back to me. It said your address wasn't right, and it's been the same address. So I don't know if it'll get to you, is what I'm saying. But you have a whole month. You have a whole month to work on this. So it's 1 month away. So
Can we
Do
like?
you want my mom
question
to
about,
send
like,
you my address again?
yes, I do. I must have something 1 digit off or something. Yes.
I have a question. Can we make it like half like I like drawing, like make up my own coloring book, so like I do draw something online, then I print it out, then I color with like Sharpie in it. Can I do something like that?
Yeah, as long as it's your work.
And then glue it down. Yeah.
Stacy, there's some chat questions about when the homeschool groups might be able to get supplies. Are you bringing
They'll be
stuff
there Friday morning.
Friday morning?
By
Okay,
noon, yeah.
so the office here closes at 11:30 that morning. So if we don't get it to you on Friday, you could stop in on Monday.
And then I'll have ours at Lincoln, and I'll tell you about Monday. We'll really go over this more Monday, boys and girls. But Friday she'll have some markers and things that you want. You don't want to take all of it, but you know, if you need some stuff, take a few things. But I'll definitely have some paper there for you. Okay, for by Monday for me. So, okay. Sarah, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Okay, well, we thank you for doing this for us. We really appreciate it. I always tell them I've heard you a lot, but I always learn something new. And I this time too, I always learn something new. So I mean, there's always something I didn't know. So it was very informative. Thank you. Thank you for sharing and taking your time for us.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining. Once we figure out how to get this posted, we'll post it. And then we've recorded the other day a couple of our presentations, so we may put those up on YouTube as well, if I'm technologically advanced to make that happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks guys.
You all.
I'll see you guys at 1 and 1:30.
Mrs. Hurl,
Yes.
I have a question for you actually.
Yes.
If we have time, can we do a small poetry club?
I have to go pick up my mother, you know, and bring her to my house, so I don't have time. But I'll do it tomorrow. I'll put time in for it tomorrow. I was planning on it. Okay, I'll see you. I just had other plans to pick her up, take her somewhere and get something for her. So okay, see you guys at 1 and 1:30. Bye. Okay.
Anna, is there anything else you need from Holly and I?
I think my only other question, I have a 4-year-old here who is very concerned about her poster from last year. She was one of the winners and I don't think we ever got it back. Do you have those?
I have them in my office.
Yeah.
Ah, good. Is there any way we can get those back?
We should be able to. I will look. What's her name?
Willa Hill.
Okay.
Did you win too, Aveley? And Aveley Hill, A-V-A-L-E-A.
I didn't win, but I never got my poster.
Oh, apparently the Hill family didn't get any of our posters.
Well, the other ones are gone. The only ones we kept were the winners.
Yeah, the winning ones are the ones that we keep. So.
Okay. We may have gotten them back then and we just didn't remember it.
Yeah. And if not, they might be sitting on the stack here. So I know I didn't throw any away, so they may still be here.
I think I won 3rd place last year, I think.
Well, Holly, I'll just talk with you maybe if and see if I can get that from you later this week.
Can we?
Okay, I'll look and see if I have them.
Okay, thanks.
Can
That's all.
Thank you.
Can we get the?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, see you later.